back and watch the video. So if you don't want to be on camera, that's completely fine. Just wanted to let you know. Turn off your cameras if you don't want to be recorded. And also, as you're all set. Sorry, Jerry.
I'm sorry. I just want to say for the record, you know, we like seeing people's faces too. It's whatever you prefer.
Yeah.
All right, you got it, Quinn.
And also just wanted to let you all know that the chat is open. I will be reading questions out as they come in for Brooke and Joe to answer while they're doing their demo. But we also, there will be time at the end as well. So if you want to just save them for the end, that's cool too. But I did just want to thank everyone for attending our Spring into Wellness workshop on soap making, brought to you by Prairie Food Co-op and actually two of our very own PFC owners, the Soapy Roads of Lombard, better known as Brooke and Joe Bingaman. Tonight, you can expect to learn how to make a 10 loaf of rustic soap from scratch in a slow cooker, as well as all the steps of how they make their organic soap-based soap with a clean conscience. Lastly, to top things off, they're going to present a fun and informative slideshow on all things soap. I believe that those things are actually happening in reverse order. A little bit more about Soapy Roads of Lombard. Brooke and Joe are a husband and wife maker team. Collectively, they've been making soap for over 2 decades. In 2017, they brought their knowledge together to form the Soapy Roads of Lombard with the goal to make better natural soaps in small batches using a rustic hot process. They're committed to natural soap education and specialize in live soap making events, much like this one. So thank you all for joining. I am going to hand it over to Brooke and Joe now. Thanks.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks, Quinn. Thanks for the handoff. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited. Thank you, Prairie Food Co-op. We are representing with our t-shirts. Oh, yours is yesterday. So we're so excited to be here. Hi, Catherine. All right, so let's go ahead and let's just quickly say, great intro, Quinn, about us. We're husband and wife. We did meet in 2017 as independent soap makers. Can you hear us okay? Okay. I was my own independent soap maker, and Joe was a soap maker out in the world. And then I was hearing something. Oh, it's okay. We actually met. We met on Tinder. Can you believe that? We met on Tinder, and we don't mind sharing that because it's very, you know, there is love out on the internet, and you can also find your soap making soulmate on the internet if you have not done so yet. But we always joke that, you know, we both had in our profiles that we were soap makers. So the first thing he messaged me with was, I've never met anyone on here who's a soap maker. And I said, you've never met anyone anywhere who is a soap maker. I haven't. So we got together, and on our second date, we shared recipes and we made soap together. And yeah, and our company is based in love. It's all about love. It's our love for each other, our love for our community, our love for our children, our love for the planet. And we really just knew that we could make a better bar of soap that was going to be safe for the waterways and safe for our bodies. So that was kind of our goal to make something that was going to be better for you. We're committed to using organic whenever we can, sustainable and ethically sourced raw materials, and we eliminate the use of plastics whenever we can. Definitely single-use plastics for sure. And we try and find alternatives to plastic whenever we can. Actually, we don't have our gloves, but we have all sorts of fun alternatives to plastic in soap making that we take to our mobile workshops, like when we go and make it in your house. We have a lot of fun alternatives to some plastic stuff, but that's not what we're doing now. We're in our soapery, and so we will go ahead and get onto our slide. That's us. Nice little picture of us at a craft fair. This is actually kind of cute, real quick. I'm just going to show you real quick. So Joe and I were soap makers by ourselves. This was my first label here on the left-hand side. Notice the prodigy.net email address, which takes you back. And then that is Joe's original label. So those are both of our original labels. I think we've come a long way with our branding. It's so funny. Okay. It was interesting that we even had these. I mean, these are like, I mean, mine's like 25 years old. Your label's not quite that old, but okay. So this is our favorite soap making quote. For making soap, oil is required, but to clean oil, soap is required. This is the irony of life. Genial Cassandra. All right, so let's go ahead and make soap. We're going to put the camera fully on Joe and stop sharing our screen at this point. Yep. Okay. Very good. So let's stop our sharing. So weird that it's so quiet on the other end, but I assume that there's like at least 2 people watching. Okay. So can you see us full screen?
Yes,
Perfect.
we can.
Okay, great. All right, so what are we doing today? Today we are going to be making hot process soap. We're going to be making a 10 loaf of almost all organic materials. We have, and it's a vegan recipe that we're going to be doing today. We're using sweet almond oil that has been infused with Himalayan rhubarb root powder. So that's this ingredient here. We have, and that came directly from India. I think it took like 2 months to get delivered.
Yeah, all the time.
We have coconut oil, castor oil, olive oil, and shea butter. For our water portion, we have actually made some shiitake mushroom tea. These are very high in antioxidants and anti-irritant components. The only ingredients that are not organic in our entire cook today is the Himalayan rhubarb root powder. If you can find an organic source, please let me know. I can't find one anywhere in the world. And then our essential oils, we do use a lot of organic essential oils, just some of them are not available. So for our essential oils that we are making, we did a blend of ylang ylang, bergamot, rosemary, and lemon. And I wasn't on camera.
And I was just going to speak to the essential oils real quick and where we source our stuff from, unless we're getting something super specialty and we're having it imported, which just depends on what it is. We try and use local sources as much as possible. A great essential oil bulk provider is called Blossom Bulk, and it's in Des Plaines. Or this one, yeah, Des Plaines. Yeah,
So.
yeah. Then they're great. They make great essential oils. If you need large servings of essential oil, you can save so much money by buying in bulk. Essential oils, you may know, are very expensive, and they come in these tiny little bottles. And so once our company kind of started getting in good gear and we started getting our mojo, we were like, we really have to. That's one of the biggest things, is to buy bigger. You'll save a lot of money, and they're local. They're great.
And then real quick, some of our other ingredients, our olive oil, our coconut oil, and our sweet almond oil. Those are all also from local sources.
That's right. Soaper's Choice. There is a company called Soaper's Choice, and actually Soaper's Choice is in Des Plaines. I'm sorry. Soaper's Choice is in Des Plaines. Blossom Bulk Essential Oils is in Glendale Heights. I should know this. I'm the driver who goes and picks them up. But Soaper's Choice, we get, if you want to see that, we buy our oils in 35 pounds.
There's our sweet almond.
See that?
Oh,
So that's 35 pounds of olive oil and 35 pounds of sweet almond oil. And then, we pour it into our regular bottles as we go along. But yeah, it's a way you can really, if you really do want to make soap, buy in bulk. it'll save you a lot of money.
So today, what we're actually doing, we're making hot process soap. But within hot process, there's a couple different methods of making soap. What we're doing is called high temperature hot process. It's a little bit faster than regular hot process, and we use the heat transfer from the lye water that we will mix here in a minute. It gets very hot very fast. It goes from room temperature to 200 degrees. Goes from room temperature to 200 degrees in about 5 seconds. And then we take that 200-degree water and we pour it into our oils. And so it melts our oils very fast, and it really kicks off the saponification process that is making soap. So definition of saponification is making soap. So with that, I think we will go ahead and start mixing our ingredients. So we have a scale here, and I believe in our presentation, if not, we can send out the ingredients and the proportions that we're making today. This is not the exact formula that we use in all of our soap making that we make, but we have used this formula in the past. It's a completely safe formula to use, but this is not how we make our day-to-day soap. First ingredient that we have is our almond oil. We're gonna go ahead and I have preheated our crock pot. She's grabbing our temperature gun for us, so we can tell you what the temperatures of everything is as we go, but it is warm. And so this is our infused Himalayan rhubarb root powder. And we're going to be doing 8 ounces of that. And
The videographer here for you. And did you say how many quarts the crock pot was on?
yeah,
It was 8-quart
8-quart.
crock pot.
If you are going to be making soap yourself, I would recommend having a separate crock pot for that, not using the one that you will then be cooking food in.
Definitely, absolutely 100%.
Yeah. Just in the event that there is any residual lye in your crock pot. There shouldn't be, but safety first. Our next ingredient is our shea butter. This comes from Ghana. You can get shea butter locally, but
That's right. Where are our shea butter beans? They are. Or our shea nuts. These are, if you've never seen the raw nut. This is what the raw nut is. And then these are actually crushed and opened, and you scoop out the butter. Yeah, it's called Baraka, Baraka. Baraka Imports is where we get our shea nut butter. Well, we don't get our shea nut butter from them. We get our demonstrative shea nuts from them, but they're awesome. It took a really long time to get to us as well. And yeah, but they're very cool. I had actually never held one in my hand before. I've used shea butter all my life, but never saw a nut before. So that was cool.
Brooke, how much shea butter are you guys using?
we're using 4 ounces of shea butter.
And you put in the Himalayan rhubarb
I did.
sweet oil infusion. Your sweet almond oil fusion. So this was my my raw material demo for you. These are sweet almonds that we get from Pete's. When we go do demonstrations at schools, we always break out all the raw materials and pass them around to kids. But yeah, you just get the oil from squeezing these guys out.
Was there an answer to the quantity on the shea butter?
It is 4 ounces.
4 ounces, thank you.
I actually usually do the shea butter first because it takes a little bit longer to melt.
Your audio isn't coming through for me. Is anybody else having that problem?
Yeah, it's breaking up as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
It's clearer when Brooke is speaking closer to the microphone.
Okay, I can talk louder if that helps.
So if you can project, Joe, yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, and I'll answer any question closer too to help.
So what I was saying was I usually do the shea butter first because it does take a little bit longer to melt. But I have the crock pot pre-warmed, so it should be melting real quickly here. The next ingredient is our coconut oil. Got to put out on the table, but here is our coconut oil. We're just reusing these containers. We also get our coconut oil from Sulu Organics. So the coconut oil today is 10 ounces.
And I'll just mention the utensils that we use. You need to use stainless steel. That's really important. Aluminum will actually react badly with soap. So you just got to make sure that you're making sure you're using stainless steel, restaurant quality, restaurant grade. Our spatulas are like 400 to 600 temp safe restaurant quality spatulas. Obviously stainless. Most of the stuff most of our equipment is restaurant supply equipment. So food safe and heavy duty. You're doing a great job, honey.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It is important to try and get as close to the measurements as you possibly can. With all of your oils and butters, going a little bit over is better than going under.
That's right.
When we mix in the lye and the lye water into the oils, we today are building in a 7% super fat. Essentially, that is an overage in your oils. It does 2 things. First of all, it makes sure that you don't have any outstanding lye in your soap. That could be very dangerous. It could burn your hands when you wash your hands with the soap. But then second of all, extra oils in the soap will make it more moisturizing or have other properties depending on which oil you use as your super fat. Today, when we make, in what we're doing, we're going to be adding our 7% super fat in shea butter. It's going to be a very moisturizing bar of soap. But if you go a little bit over on each of the ingredients, that's okay. That just adds into the super fat.
It's Blossom Bulk. B-U-L-K.
We wish we could get more from them. They have, great prices on the essential oils that they have, but they don't have, the largest amount.
And I'll show you what it looks like in the inside of our stuff right now. So there you go. You've got the harder oils starting to melt. I'm sure you mentioned you start with the harder oils. So they have a longer time to melt. And that's what it looks like. And this is, we have a stainless steel countertop. Again, it's all about stainless steel and restaurant quality, temperature safe, because the lye is going to get up to about 200 degrees.
And Brooke, there's a question, what kind of soap are we making? I think that means like, what's the scent or?
Sure. Yeah, we're going to make a rosemary, bergamot, ylang ylang, lemon. That's the essential oils. So we're doing a blend.
Custom mixture.
Yeah, custom blend. So those 4 essential oils, lemon, ylang ylang, bergamot, and rosemary. And this is a hot process, right? Hot process soap that we're making, small batch. We're making 10 bars total. And so that's the fragrance. We're using the Himalayan rhubarb, sweet almond oil infusion. So we're expecting a reddish color from that. That's actually what that Himalayan rhubarb is going to be our colorant in this instance. I'm sure you went over that, why we were using that. Okay, so the Himalayan rhubarb is an infused oil. So we color our soaps naturally. We don't use micas. We used to, when we first started making soap, we used micas, and then there's some questions around the ethical sourcing of mica, so we kind of want to stay away from it. So we really are heavily entrenched in finding natural ways to color our soaps. So any, plants or clays that we can find that will give us color instead of dyes or micas is what we use. So
that really took off. It took a lot of sourcing to get the
a lot
materials.
of experimenting, a lot of sourcing.
So it's really a 2022. No
Initially,
soaps that
yeah.
we've made in 2022 have any micas or synthetic
That's right.
dyes or anything like that.
That's right. Yeah, we never used synthetic dyes, but we did use micas when we first started. Well, we used a purple mica
Yeah, I think that's
on one of our soaps. We used a purple mica. And then we just kind of, our slogan is soap with a clean conscience. And we wanted to make sure that everything we were getting from everywhere we were getting it from was on the up and up. And the more we looked into mica, the less we liked what we saw. So, but that doesn't mean that you can't use mica, and Lush Cosmetics uses mica, but they use synthetic mica, which is, you can look into it. You can look into the pros and cons of synthetic and natural mica and make your own decision. So,
Kind of what we chose.
So what are you doing now?
So I have since put in 10 ounces of olive oil,
very nice.
and now this is 1 ounce of castor oil.
Oh, lovely. Castor oil is so cool. If you've never felt castor oil in like its raw form, it's so viscous. It is so thick. It's so awesome. It's really one of my favorite oils. That's right, Quinn. Let me check that, but I think that's going to be right. Just the measurements. So it turns out, Quinn, I can check out the chat since I'm being a videographer up here. So I'm like right up on the computer. Is this right, honey? 8 ounces of almond oil, infused almond oil. The almond, yeah, yep, exactly.
Whether you use infused oil or not, it's going to be 8 ounces of almond.
Shea butters 4, coconut oils 10, olive oils 10, and castors 1.
That's right.
Beautiful. Nice job, Gwen. So that is what
it's actually
everything looks
almost
like.
all melted. We are at 115 degrees.
So this is a fun device that you would definitely need to make soap at home. Show you what Joe was using real quick. This is a temperature gun. This you can take the temperature of like inanimate objects. You can just shoot it at anything. 72 degrees on top of the counter. So you shoot this at your soap, and it's very important. The temperature is one of the biggest factors in making soap. All right, so I'll put this back on you. You're gonna do the lye now?
I am.
Okay, so he's gonna do the lye, and I guess we'll just give a little disclaimer about lye and the use of lye. So it's sodium hydroxide is the chemical name known as lye. We use food grade, and you need gloves, you need glasses, you need a mask, and you need a ventilated space. This is in pellet form. So when it comes out, it's like miniature pellets. I mean, I don't even know what size they are. They're so tiny. It's like grains of salt, basically. But they're spheres. So they kind of bounce around. Like if you drop it on the countertop, it's kind of can bounce around. So you just have to be really careful that everything's getting into the containers you're trying to use.
We obviously, we
'Cause you-
watch a lot of YouTube and of soap making and get ideas off what other people are doing and whatnot. And I see a lot of people making soap in their kitchens. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I mean, a lot of people do it and, it's probably fine, but
I would say
We-
as you become an advanced soap
Sure.
maker, that it would probably be okay, right? Because we'll go to people's houses and we'll make soap with you in your kitchen,
oh, sure.
but it's kind of like
If you're making,
a controlled environment, and we have a lot of experience with the lye. So we're just saying, if you do go out and recreate this recipe and everything, just take super caution with your lye handling. Make sure there's no pets around, make sure there's no babies around. One little crystal of this guy will burn you. So I liken it kind of to bleach. I feel like it has like properties of bleach, like it's caustic like bleaches. So it's a little scary, but once you work with it a lot, it becomes less scary. So I'm gonna open our door.
So when you're mixing your lye, water, so the standard amount of water that typically you would use is 38% in weight to your oil amount. So we have a total of 33 ounces so far. We're going to be adding another 2.5 as our super fat at the end. So we have 35.5 ounces of oil. 38% of that would be typically what you would use as your water amount. We're doing a little bit of what's called a water discount today. It helps your soap cure a little bit faster, or not necessarily cure because we're doing hot process, but dry out a little bit faster. Let me finish.
Yeah, no problem. And Janet says, oh, sorry, there's a lot on the chat. Okay, let's see. Try and get to the. I can scroll up.
So we're doing, like I said, we're doing a little bit of a water discount. So we're only doing 30% rather than the typical 38%. So our water amount is 9.9 ounces.
I was just gonna say, I'll get back to all of those chat questions as soon as we finish the lye, and then we'll get it in the crock pot and it'll start cooking, and we'll have time to cover those questions. I'll repeat the safety guidelines, of course. And then, yes, oh, you did, Quinn. Sorry. There you are. Cool. And it sounds dangerous. It's like cooking, honestly, Janet. It's like cooking. It really is. It's like cooking or cleaning. You're cleaning, you're using dangerous chemicals, you're cooking, you're working with high temperature stuff. It's really your level of comfort. It is costly if you do it in small batches. It's when you can start to scale up that it's like, you know, that it's like kind of feasible to do. But yeah, hot process is probably, well, hot process is like the oldest form of soap making, and it's like, it is the, I guess, the most respected form of soap making. And so that's the one we like to do. But there's, you know, there's also melt and pour soap making, where the lye is already done for you and you have a soap base. We can tell you all about that too. And then there's cold process soap making. So for this particular demo, hot process is an advanced soap making technique. So yes, but liking the dangerousness is, you know, I'd liken it to cooking and cleaning with chemicals. So you just, you know, comfort level on that. Okay, so you're going to do your lye. All right.
So measured our mushroom tea, shiitake.
Yep, I'm holding.
And our lye, when you mix your lye and liquid, you always want to make sure that you're pouring your lye into the liquid and not liquid into the lye. That will cause an even more volcanic reaction where it actually really bubbles and kind of expands. You don't want that in any way, so you always want to pour your lye slowly into your liquids.
Do you have your
and
mask?
I do not have my mask on. I'm going to put my mask on because it does create some fumes. So you want to be in a well ventilated area, potentially wearing a nice PFC mask.
There you go, PFC mask.
So we'll just pour this in here. Stir it in. And so I didn't take the temperature before, but it was room temperature. We'll stir this a little bit and let the reaction happen. Actually smells really,
You can smell the mushrooms.
you can smell the mushroom.
Yeah. Can you see the smoke coming off of it,
Steam.
everyone? Or the steam, rather?
So that went from room temperature to 206 degrees in that amount of time.
So in what, 10 seconds?
Mhm.
Room temperature to 200 degrees.
So we'll just give that a minute to mix in a little bit and disintegrate the lye in the liquid. Probably can't hear me very well behind the mask.
Yeah, so what did you say? Oh, thank you. I'm glad that looks cool. Good. Great product placement. Yes, thank you, Jerry. So we're just letting that, you want it to actually get clear, but since we're using shiitake mushroom infused water, we're not going to get clear. So
So the website that we use to calculate the amount of lye that we use in our formulas is called Soap Calc. It's a great resource. You pretty much can go on that site and you'd, say if you're using ounces or pounds or grams, you put in the different oils and butters that you want to use and the percentages or the amounts. And then you click calculate and it actually tells you how much water and how much lye to use in your calculations.
can I see that real quick? I'm gonna hold it up. There's actually, I see that someone asked how much lye it was.
Oh,
So
sorry, yes.
the lye measurement
so
cut out.
The water was 9.9 ounces and the lye is 4.94.
And then this is awesome. We have a slide on this. Once the soap is cooking, we'll show you the actual slide. But this is everything broken down. This is all of the math and the science behind it. It's called Soap Calc, and you just plug everything in, and it will tell you, it'll give you the hardness of the bar you're going to get, the cleansing properties, the conditionings, how many bubbles to expect, creaminess. It's really cool. So this is kind of the like the science and the math behind it, which we'll show you.
And it gives you a little bit of an idea of what you're going to get as a result. I've made bars where it says that it's not going to be very hard, or the cleansing is going to be very high, which cleansing is typically associated with a very drying bar. So it kind of dries your hands out if it's very high in cleansing. I've had it where these amounts aren't perfectly accurate, but it gives you a good idea of what you're going to be getting.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for sharing that link, Glenn.
If you find a recipe online, I would highly recommend always still taking that recipe and running it through the lye calculator on Soap Calc to calculate your amount of lye, rather than just believing what they say in their calculations. Often when I find a recipe online and it's this much olive oil, this much coconut oil, whatever it may be for the oils, when I run it through the lye calculator, I don't get the same amount of lye as they do. And I haven't really been able to figure out why. And I've seen lots of people, who are big soap makers, they always say the exact same thing. Don't rely on somebody else's lye calculations. Always calculate your own.
And, yeah, I was going to say, we make, a fabulous soap. So you'll see it's worth it. If you're really into soap and you love it, and like you're homesteader and you want to make your own soap, like you can do it. You could totally do it. But if you don't want to do it, you don't want to get all of the ingredients, you can go to our Facebook page and buy a bar we already made. So the lye's going in, but yeah, anyone can do it. Anyone. Practice makes perfect.
That's right.
A lot of experimenting, though, I would say. It really takes a lot of experimenting, because so many things affect how the soap comes out. Temperatures, the crop for the season, like how it grew, there's so many factors.
So I'm going to go with our stick blender. We're just going to mix up the combination there. Okay, so first, this is going to go through several different phases, and soap makers have given them all very clever names.
Do you want me to show
Not quite.
Okay.
This first phase is called at trace, and so I don't know if you can tell, but it got a little bit thick, and it's kind of like a yogurty consistency. Yep. So this is actually, if you were to be making what's called cold process soap. I mean, you wouldn't be making it in a crock pot per se, but when you mix your oils and your lye and you get it to the trace point, that's typically where cold process makers would stop, and they would go ahead at this point and pour it into their molds. When we're doing it as hot process, we're going to continue cooking it all the way through the saponification process, And when we're done cooking it, it will be able to be used as soap. We, we use our soap the next day. It can be a little bit, it disintegrates a little bit fast when you use it right away, but it is a safe product to use.
Yeah.
Cold process, so the saponification process goes much slower because that heat isn't being added. It takes 4 to 6 weeks for it to go completely through the saponification process and cold process. So if you make cold process, you would stop now, you pour it in your molds. You could take it out of the mold maybe the next day or the day after, cut it up into bars of soap, but then it has to sit on a rack and really cure for 4 to 6 weeks.
And saponification literally means the making of soap. It's the congealing of soap. And Bonnie, to answer your question, so it's a chemical reaction that causes the heat. Yes, that is what causes the heat.
Along with the heat from the crock pot.
I think she means
Oh.
in the when we add the water.
Oh, yeah.
We use Soapy Roads at our house and we love it. Thank you. Very good. Go up. How many bars of soap do you get from one batch? So great question, Laura. It just depends on the measurements, right? So this is an 8-quart capacity crock pot. So we can do up to 20 bars in this. All of our soap is small batch. That's why they're all like limited edition. There's always, there's going to be a variation from each batch to the next. No 20 soaps will ever be totally alike. This one, the measurements we did are going to get us 10 soaps. So if we doubled what we did, we'd be getting 20 soaps. And an 8-quart crock pot has the capacity to do 20. And we're doing half. Cool. So we got the lid on.
Got the lid on. So I love that color.
Yeah, the color is
And
awesome.
if you remember, the infused oil was kind of a light brownish color. And it wasn't until we added extra lye that it turned kind of bright red.
That's right.
The colors do change. I was making a soap the other day, and it was this beautiful blue color when it was at this stage. And then as it cooked, it turned into a brown. And then we molded it and we cut it, and it turned into a purple. It's very strange.
Yeah, there's some great books out there that actually will have like some visuals of experiments using natural botanicals, plants and clays, the color soaps. This is a good one, the natural soap color palette. You'll see like just the slightest tweaks will give you a light pink to a red to a purple. And sometimes you just don't know what's going to happen based on different things that you use.
So I don't know if it will come through, but that's just slight variations in the green will produce different colors in soaps.
Yeah.
This is a great resource, this book. She also has a Facebook page group built off of this book, and she responds to almost every post that people have with what you should do, what you can do, how to adjust your formulas, how to get better colors, things like that. It's
Great resource. Yeah. Jinx. And then John, do we sell our soap at any local shops? We will be at the Carriage House for Lilac Time. So May 1st to May 15th, I believe the Carriage House will be carrying a lot of local Lombardian makers and crafters merchandise, which is awesome. I definitely recommend checking us out there. We made a fresh batch of the Lombard. That's one of our, I'm going to pick out a Lombard if you can get to it. This is a rack of maybe 200 drying soaps on it. But yeah, so that's where all the new soaps go. The Lombard's back in there, but the Lombard is lilac scented, obviously. And that's in the shop. There's 20 from the batch. We have cranberry there. We have the Tornado, which was one of the first soaps that we really, really loved and got some great feedback on. The tornado soap is also, limited in that batch with 20 at the store. It's turmeric, cinnamon, cedarwood. It's an awesome, awesome soap. So, and then we don't have a storefront, so we converted a room in our house to a micro soapery. So this is the room off of our house that is completely, this is all, it is a full soapery. So we hold private classes in here. So you can actually come to us and we'll do one-on-one soap making, and we'll do beginner. We'll do beginner. I mean, we have everything to do. I mean, we are deep in the soap world. But we'll do one-on-one classes. So if you want to, have that extra confidence in taking it home, to do it at home. So we have people make soap at our house, but we don't sell soap from our house. I mean, sure, you could buy a bar when you're here. But we have a Facebook page, and that's primarily where we do our sales. We actually just invented something that's pretty cool. I'll show you what this is. I've been inspired by the porch economy. In the age of COVID, people were kind of just dropping things off on porches, and with soap, we feel like people really want to smell our product before they buy it. Totally makes sense. So I came up with something. This is, sorry, this is impromptu, but this is our travel soap case, and this actually has 20 soaps all individually boxed. I can quickly pop this open, but now we don't know how it works. Okay, here we go. So this has all of our soaps in these individual cases. So you can actually, I go and leave this on people's porches now, and you can take it out and spend time with every soap individually and decide what you want to keep and leave the rest. We actually have a good friend who said that they were inspired to kind of throw like a Tupperware-esque party with it. Like bring this and, the soap smelling party, basically. So this is super cool. This is how I could just drop this off on your porch and you could smell it and then sit with it and invite friends over, what have you, and just take what you need and eat better than a store. You don't have to go anywhere. So, but yeah, and Facebook is where we get all of our information out. Our dream will be to have a storefront. It's just not financially, sound for us at the moment. Soap is a low price point. But we'll get there. Dreams. Quinn. Yes, Quinn. Thank you. That's right. So the soap is cooking. Let's take a look, and then you want to go. Let me see how we are on time. We got 10 minutes, so we'll just take a look, and then you want to kind of cruise through our slides and just do top lines. So another thing too, you never know how long the cook is going to be. The cook is slang in the soap making community, the cook. You never know if it's going to be immediate. Joe was talking about getting a volcano before. Sometimes the soap will just grow and you have to really work it to get down so it doesn't explode out all of your crock pot and you lose all your soap. You never really know how quick or slow it's going to go. It really is a different experience every time you make soap.
Especially with a different formula.
That's true. And we are experimenting with this one tonight. So do you want to go to the slides while it's still cooking? Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna get our faces out of the front here. Oh, sweet. We can't wait to be at PFC. That's gonna be the best. With our I really wanted to get one of the grocery carts, the shopping carts with our Soapy Roads name on it. That's also a goal. Okay. So share screen, we're gonna share the slides. So we'll go to the slides real quick while this is cooking, and we have 10 minutes, so you'll just see us mold it, and then we will cut a dummy loaf, so you can just see how we cut it. That's sometimes like a nice satisfying thing for people to see soap being cut. So we actually were like, we need a TikTok where we just film us cutting our soap all the time. So we'll do that for you. So we made soap. Let me get my face over there. We went through the base oils. That's everything we used. Those are the steps we did. We measured, we combined. What's happening now is everything is saponifying. And then at the end, so actually we still need to add the fragrance. That happens at the very end. And our super fat. So we're still cooking now. This is what Joe was talking about, the different stages. So can you guys see that slide completely? Yeah, okay, great. So the stages are trace, applesauce, mashed potato, and Vaseline. See, soap making is just so synergistically linked to actual food and cooking. So what is soap and how does soap work, honey? I can talk about it. Yes, I can. So soap, how it works, a soap molecule is actually shaped like a balloon. So it's the balloon head and a string. And the balloon head of the soap molecule is charged and attracted to water molecules. The string part of the soap molecule on the balloon is attracted to the dirt, the grime, and the germs. And so that string part, actually, when you're washing your hands, that string part is picking everything up. And then it's the balloon part that is charged to be attracted to the water. And when the water is washing on your hands, it's pulling it down. It's going with the water. So the soap goes with the water because it's charged to do so. So it doesn't kill anything on your hands, right? Soap just is the mechanism to have it travel off of your hands or travel off of your body or off of your dishes. So soap is just like a vehicle for the germs to leave. So I think that's pretty cool. Any questions on that? I guess I'll take questions at the end just because we're kind of running out of time. We have so much to share about soap. It's so interesting, soap history and making soap, and we could go on and on forever. This is literally all we talk about as a husband and wife. Our kids are like, oh my God, with the soap. So history and origins of soap making. Soap making is an ancient art with its origins dating back to Babylon in 2800 BC. I don't have my script right in front of me, but can you give the Mount Sappho? And then we'll do. Yeah, can you talk about how it was discovered?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in 2800 BC are the first records of anyone actually making any soap. They found a container that had a soap-like material in it.
Clay cylinder.
A clay cylinder, and on it it said fats boiled in ashes. And historically, boiling hardwood ashes is how you would create the lye water for soap making. And then when you add the fats, that actually creates the soap. So this is the first instance of historically any record of anybody making soap. Whether people were doing it before that, we don't really know, but at least we know that in Babylon, 2800 BC. So then soap gets its actual name from Mount Sappho in Italy. It's a hilly area near Rome, and up in the mountains in Mount Sappho, they would perform sacrifices to animals, and they would burn the carcasses And then when it would rain, it would mix the ashes from the fire with the fats from the animals and flow down the mountain into the
Tiber
River. And the women who would be washing their clothes in the river found that there was this
weird material.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it helped clean their
Goopy,
clothes.
It was like goopy, like if you can visualize like just goopy fat coming down a mountain with like burned ashes, and that's what soap is.
And
for the
that's how
first instance of soap.
right, yeah. And so that's where they get that's where the name soap comes from. It's Mount Sapo.
That's right. Okay. There's more on that, but there's more detail on that. And if anyone wants to message us through Facebook, or you can email us, soapyroadsoflombard@gmail.com. We are so psyched to talk about soap. So if there's anything you want to know, like more in depth, we are so happy to share that. This is Soaps That Change the World. This is Aleppo soap, Castile soap, and Marseille soap. This is an awesome video of soap being made in the Syrian soap factory. We don't have time for it though, so unfortunately, we can send you guys the link maybe, and if anyone wants the link, message us. And then the three, show you how that's going. So are we looking like mashed potatoes, or are we looking like applesauce?
Not quite done, but very close.
I think you look like applesauce. So still cooking, still cooking. The three modern methods for soap making are hot process, which we're doing now, cold process, which is very similar to hot process, you just stop cooking it, and melt and pour. And I love melt and pour. My husband and I are at odds with it. It's, melt and pour is very, it's very accessible. It's very fun. I want to say it's easy, which is not a bad thing. I love melt and pour. We do parties with melt and pour soap. We have a make your own soap bar that we bring to like parties, events, you name it, team building. We've done a lot of different things where we just have a make your own soap bar, and you're making a melt and pour soap, and it's super fun. It takes like 2 minutes to do it, but it's very creative. You get to scent it and you color it, and we bring our essential oils and our natural colorants, and it's super fun. So that melt and pour absolutely has its place. We just like the intensity of the hot process, and it makes a more complex bar of soap that can do more for you.
When you make it from scratch, hot process or cold process, you get to choose which ingredients go into the soap. And that's what was really important to us, was being able to choose which oils and butters and the sources of those oils and butters, and being able to control that. When you're buying a melt and pour soap base that was already created, you don't really get that information.
So this is the chemistry of soap making. This is this lye sodium hydroxide. It's a metal hydroxide traditionally obtained by bleaching wood ashes, and saponification, which we were talking about earlier, when triglycerides and lye are combined and react to form fatty acid metal salts. Oh, we're super fat. We're melting our super fat, and it got too hot. That's okay.
What is super fat?
So the soup, yeah, sure. So the super fat is it's basically adding an extra oil or butter to the end, the last part of the soap making. So when you super fat something, the lye can potentially negate all of the positive properties of butters and oils. Like it could. When you super fat.
And actually, when I calculated this formula, it was based on having a super fat. So you wouldn't want to make the soap only with the oils and butter amounts that I gave. You would need to add the super fat at the end. to make it a safe product. Can you,
What do you mean?
well, unplug the smoke detector for one.
Live soap making. Our super fan is smoking. Okay, so this is the lie calculation. So there's lie calculators that you can put your, I think we're gonna have to not forego the super fat because our super fat just burned on the griddle. But it's okay. When you do a super fat, it's basically ensuring that you get the properties of that butter or oil in the soap because you're putting it in after the chemical reaction takes place with the lye. So that's super fatting. Take that outside. Oh my gosh. So this is the chemistry of soap making. This is the soap calculator. This is what you can go to and plug in everything that you want to make your soap with, and you'll get all of the measurements. It is so smoky. You'll get all of the measurements and you'll find out like the hardness I mentioned. If you see that soap bar quality, like bottom left, you'll find out the hardness range, the cleansing range, the conditioning range, how bubbly it will be, how creamy it will be, how much iodine. What does INS stand for?
I'm not sure.
We're not sure what INS stands for, but we can find out. All right. So it is 7:30. We should probably just go to the soap cutting, honey. Right? We end at 7:30, Quinn, right? Yeah, okay.
Go a little over. We can go a little over.
Yeah,
That's
you sure?
okay.
I would like to go to the microwave with the super fat instead of
You
on
are?
the griddle.
Are you sure? Is it okay if we go 5 minutes over?
I think we can manage 5 minutes. Yeah.
You sure? Okay, okay, awesome. Joe's just gonna quickly melt this super fat in the microwave. So what's nice with soap making is that there's often workarounds. We had it on a griddle back here. So we have like a portable griddle, and it basically got way too hot and just like burned the oil. And this is all trial and error stuff that you learn. I think we were just talking too much.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to like pay close attention to when you make your soap. And no drinking while making your soap. Drink after you make your soap. Okay, so he's gonna melt the super fat. So I'll keep going through these slides. Thank you, Gwen. Yes. All right, and then. So this slide is what is moon water. So on our ingredients, we use the most minimal ingredients. And so there's only a few ingredients on our label. And if you ever notice on our label, if you have bought our soap, that we list moon water. So it's distilled water. We take our water and we actually put it outside during a full moon with crystals. And we set good intentions for the water to be cleansing and healthy for you and to do all the things that a good charged moon water can do for you. So you can use regular water and distilled water, but we really like every month on the full moon, we charge our water. So our water is set to have good intentions for you to be a good soap. You know, the moon works with the tides. It really is a real thing. I always am like, oh, I'm so embarrassed to talk about how much I love full moons and how it charges our water, but the moon is a powerful thing. So these are the colorants that we typically use. This is like just a list of, it's so funny, it is so smoky in here, you have no idea. This is a list of the typical colorants we use and the typical essential oils that we use. These are the ones that we take out into the world when we do our parties or our workshops out in the world. We have a ton other ones, but these ones are like the most basic and accessible, kid safe. These are mostly kid safe on here too, because we do a lot of things with schools. Store-bought soap versus handcrafted soap. Are you ready to put that in? Sweet. Okay, we're gonna put in our super fast real quick.
So. Melt it again. Test it.
Sure. Can you have a little thing to scoop with? So this is a interesting, controversial part of the last part of hot process soap making, where it's called a Zap Test. You have to actually, well, there's ways you can test for this. You're testing the pH. You want to make sure the pH is okay on the soap. There's
no
right, and that the lye has properly mixed in, and it's a safe soap. There's pH strips that you can test your soap with. You can actually test it with cabbage. There's lots of ways to do it, but the kind of the easiest way, and the way my husband enjoys doing it, it's called the Zap Test. And you actually take a little ball of the soap and you put it on your tongue. And if it zaps you, it is not safe yet. And if it does not zap you, you're good.
We're good.
Good to go. There we go. I'm so scared years of the Zap Test is going to come to haunt you, hon. Oh my gosh.
Obviously, you don't put that piece back in,
That piece goes in the garbage.
but,
Yeah.
it would feel like a 9-volt battery. Put
Yeah.
it on your tongue. So, soap is safe to be used, and so we're going to be adding our super fat. So this is 2.5 ounces of shea butter. And so again, that's 7% of our oils is in the shea butter. So we're doing a 10 batch of soap. This is each bar of soap is going to have about 1/4 ounce of shea butter in it, and it's going to be really
Unadulterated shea butter.
Yeah,
That
it's
hasn't
gonna be-
been affected by the lye.
really nice on your skin.
So honey, you're gonna pour that in and just mix it up, and then we're just gonna cut our demo soap because we're out of time.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just like that.
And that's just the last step.
And then, yeah, I mean, and then we just put it in a mold.
So our fragrance.
Yep.
I always forget about the I'm always like, we're done. Oh wait, it has no smell. And we pre-measured our essential oils. So this is where's the camera? This is the lemon, rosemary, ylang ylang, and bergamot. And I believe is this 2.5 ounces? Or is this 2? Oh, this is 1 ounce. Oh, we're making 10 bars. Okay, so it's 1 ounce of essential oil. Essential oil is something you have to be really careful with. You don't want to over essential oil. It can be a little dangerous. You'll notice our soaps are never like super overpowering. We really like to keep the essential oil in like a safe range. Soaps that are really smelly are not necessarily and as wonderful as they are, they can, anything natural can also have drawbacks. But as long as you're using your calculators, your soap calcs, you'll be good.
There's another site called Calc, and that's for calculating safe amounts of essential oils. And you put in how much oils you're putting in your soap if you're making melt and pour, or if you're making cold process or hot process, and which essential oils you want to use. And then it tells you the safe calculations for those. It gives you a low, medium, and high smell. You can go as high as the high if you want a very smelly or a more smelly soap. If you do want it like, it gives you the safe ranges.
This is our mold. So that's a 10 loaf.
10 loaf soap mold. And so we will just take the soap.
Scoop it in.
And it smells really good.
It
by the
does.
way.
It's a nice blend. So recommend that blend. We obviously pre-smelled it, but once it mixes in, you never know what it's going to do. But it kind of stayed true to what it smelled like. So this will get you 10 bars. And Joe's gonna bang it really hard to get the air bubbles out.
Make sure it's all in.
That's so
All the air bubbles should be out.
Yep.
And
Can you see it real close?
there we go.
So
It's like
that,
a little bit of a purple right now, but I expect it to turn back into like a bright red or a pinkish soap.
so that's pretty much it on making this hot process bar. We can cut this other mold if anyone just wants to. Yes, cut that. We can cut it real quick. But that was that loaf, and so that will make 10 bars.
Hey, Brooke,
Yes, hon.
could you take the presentation down so we can get a good look at the,
Yes.
just real quick?
Yes. How do I?
Or stop,
Boom.
you stop
Okay.
the screen share.
I did. Can you see us now?
Yes,
Cool. Okay.
we just wanted to see the mold.
Can we see that molded?
So there is our soap we made.
So that's Himalayan rhubarb. Again, imported from India. We took about 2 months to get. We didn't know what color we would get from it. We only saw examples in books. So we're really psyched to see what it's looking like, but it will change. The soap will lose its moisture, like we'll lose the water content. So it will dry. The bars shrink over time and the color changes over time too. So just always expect that. Don't be nervous if your soap changes color or if your soap shrinks, because it will.
So
And then this is our cutter.
Our soap cutter. This is off of Etsy. It's Uncle Andy's soap cutter. It's great. It gives you a very consistent cut every single time. There are ones where you can cut 10 bars at the same time. These soap cutters get to be thousands of dollars. So this was
Am I on the right side? So we
yep.
can see-
So
okay.
I'm just going to take off the end. And we just guillotine it.
Ooh, so nice.
And we get a nice,
Oh.
perfectly cut bar of soap.
And we did the scalloped edges. So you can do a flat edge and get a flat edge, but we like the scalloped edge.
Yep.
So
And so we, as our soap dries, we'll just cut them up into, and then we've kind of measured this so it gives us the right size bar every time.
cool.
And
know what?
Brooke, do you guys wait until it's completely cool to cut it?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we keep it in the mold for 24 to 48 hours.
Right.
So that we'll cut this tomorrow night or the night after. And then it sits on our shelf for anywhere from two plus weeks.
Smells awesome.
2 weeks, at 2 weeks, it's still losing, or at maybe a week and a half. Around 2 weeks is when it really stops losing its moisture, and we can wrap it. But it will be safe to use when we cut it.
Yeah.
Or
And
tonight, if you want.
this is a limited edition Prairie Food Co-op demo soap making soap. If you want a piece, if you want a bar, just message us and we'll give you a special PFC discounted price. There'll be 10 bars. So the first 10 people want to message us, we can give you this. What do you think, hon? We'll do a special PFC discount, which would be like what? Yeah, $6 a bar. Very bargain price. So 10 bars. We'll get 10 bars out of
You
this.
gotta keep it.
But, oh, sorry, I do have to keep it flat. Okay, so that's it. That's it. Anyone have questions?
Brooke, is there an email people can take down to message you? Because I don't think this is gonna, people can't see the chat afterwards.
Gotcha. Yes, absolutely. Soapy Roads of Lombard
Soapy Roads of Lombard
@gmail.com.
at Gmail.
That's right. Yep. And also our Facebook page, Soapy Roads of Lombard on Facebook. We're super active on that. We post everything that we're doing, very responsive to messages. We'll probably post this up there. And we'll probably post the whole thing. And so, yeah, Soapy Roads of Lombard, gmail.com. So we hope you enjoyed it. We had a great time with you guys. That was so
Thank you
fun.
very
You
much.
totally missed the smoking area over here because the camera wasn't there, but it was intense for a second. So I hope you all enjoyed.
Thanks
Do
so
we-
much.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
See ya.
Thank you very much.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you. We enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Very interesting.
Cool.